I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where I'll lead you step by step through each of the ABRSM Theory grades. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets. You can download those in US letter or A4 and they accompany each step of this series. You'll also find a page with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials there, and you can access information about the books that I have available. I've written an exam technique guide, how to take your ABRSM Music Theory Exam. It's full of tips and techniques on how to best prepare for your exam and also how to best make use of the time on exam day when you're working through your paper. So if you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find it's all there. If you can give me a like, that'd be fab. And subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more in store. And so now we're going to carry on with paper C of the 2017 grade 4 practice papers. So if you turn with me to page 14, and we're going to have a look at question 3. And so as I always suggest, have a go of this yourself, work through it in pencil. It doesn't matter if you go wrong, you'll learn by your mistakes. So I'm hoping you've had a go of this, and now we'll look through these answers together. So we're asked to look at this melody by Debussy, and then we've got some questions relating back to that. So the first question are our performance directions. And we have lots to choose from. We've got all of grade 1, all of grade 2, all of grade 3, and now all of grade 4. It could be any of those. We've got Italian and French now actually. So there's no alternative but just to revise them. I suggest you group them thematically. You could even colour code them. Compile a list of all of the like topics, everything to do with loud, anything to do with quick and so on. And that way you might just build up a bit more of a memory for these terms. So let's just have a check through these. So scherzando is playful or joking, or scherzando. There we go, like a scherzo is a jokey sort of piece, if you were playing one of those at all. Assai is enough or sufficiently. And SF is forced accented. There we go. It kind of immediately becomes loud. Bit of a punch goes on there. So let's look at the next question. Complete this statement. The triplet. So we've got a triplet of quavers, 3 quavers or 3/8 notes in bar 4. So we can see that referring to that bit, but you don't really need to refer to that to answer the question. It means 3 quavers in the time of. So you could answer this in many different ways. You could say 3 quavers or 3/8 notes in the time of 2 quavers or 2/8 notes. Oh, missed me H. There we go. Or you could say, take it a little bit further and say, because 2 quavers is the same as 1 crotchet, so you could say 3 quavers in the time of 1 crotchet or 1/4 note. Any of those will answer that question correctly. Let's look at the next one. Write as a breve or a double whole note an enharmonic equivalent of the first note of the melody. Now I always find it helpful to visualise that, so on a scrap paper I always suggest that you just sketch out a piano keyboard to visualise. It just helps keep all this information in your mind and just helps you to pinpoint what's going on. Even if you don't play piano, I do suggest that you do that. So the first note of the melody is here. It's the G sharp. Don't forget your key signature. And so an enharmonic equivalent of G sharp would be A flat. That's easily sorted. So make sure you get the correct pitch. It's above middle C. There's the A. We need to make that into a breve or a double whole note first, and then we'll add the flat. Could do with being a bit closer perhaps. Let's just shuffle that over a little bit. There we go. So that's that one, and that's that question finished. Let's turn the page and we'll have a look at the next part. So you need to keep this piece of music to hand still because we're still referring back to the extract. So then rewrite bar 4 in compound time but without changing the rhythmic effect. Remember to put in the new time signature. So if you haven't had a go of this, if I just first of all give you the tip, you need to still stay in triple time. At the moment this is 3 crotchet beats per bar or 3 quarter notes. That's where it divides into 2. There's your simple time. And so we now need to change this into still triple time, but we need a dotted crotchet or a dotted quarter note to make that compound time. So you need to make the time signature suit that. And then if you remember, it's a case of removing in triplets, adding dots, or duplets also come into effect as well. So have a go at that if you haven't done so already. And so once you've had a go, come back into the video and let's check that over. So 3 groups of 3 quavers, 3/8 notes is our time signature. So we need a time signature of 9/8. And so I'm just going to copy across the blobs for this, and then we'll worry about the rest later. So we've got G, F, E. We need to keep this sounding the same, so we can't rewrite anything other than the unit value to match the time signature. So at the moment that was a triplet, and if you think about it, that's to squish a group of 3 into a group of 2 to make it into simple time. And so now we are happy to leave that in a group of 3, so there's no triplet required. So just remove the triplet, that's the job done. Here, to stretch a group of 2 into the time of 3, we need a duplet. Alternatively, you could just add a dot after each note, but a duplet will easily do the same job. So that's now stretched into a group of 3. And here at the moment, a crotchet beat or a quarter note is 2 quaver beats. So if we add a dot, actually the dot goes above the line. Don't know why I just did that. No, it doesn't. Oh, how bizarre. I just had a crisis of confidence over a little dot. Let's just put a dot there. There we go. Don't know why I did that. And so that's now a group of 3. There we go. That's that completed. So it's quite an easy thing to do, really. Let's move on. A square bracket has been drawn over the first phrase. We need to mark all other phrases the same way. And so we can see we have a phrase of 2 bars, and there's no need to include the rest within that. They haven't done, so we will follow their plan. That's kind of no man's land. And so you can see we're going to be just doing from the beginning here, ignoring the rest, to the end of the second bar. So I will use a ruler, just try and match those up. And so miss the rest. However, we can't miss this rest because it's included in the whole phrase. That's part of the phrase. And so let's do that. And then there's no need to end with the phrase for the rest because that's kind of no man's land. It's not within the phrase, and so that's that. I guess if you extended to the phrase, to the bar, right to the end with the rest, you would be excused for that, but there's no need to. So that's that completed. So let's move on. So we've got a little bit of observing to do. We're asked to name one similarity and one difference between bars 2 and bar 6. So actually that's conveniently placed for us to look here. And so there are lots of similarities. It's exactly the same rhythm. It's exactly the same pitch. So that will do for those. And actually, both of them have got a crescendo as well. Just notice that. So we could say that the pitch is the same. Alternatively, you could say the rhythm is the same. Or you could say they've both got a crescendo. Any of those will get you the mark. And then the only difference, if you notice, is the first time we see it in bar 2, there's a slur and there isn't one. So there's no slur. The slur isn't present. There we go. So answer true or false to this statement. Bar 8 is the quietest bar in the melody. So let's have a look. Well, straight away we know that's wrong. It's not true, it's false, because we've had a crescendo, so it's already got louder. And then we've got this accented... Oh, I've just realised, I think... Oh, I thought I was... Silly me, I thought I'd written the wrong thing there. No, that's right. It's forced accented, so it's false. There we go, misread that then, thought I'd done a wrong answer. I'm correct. Let's move on. So a bit of general information now, a bit of orchestral information. So name 2 standard orchestral instruments. We need to choose a string instrument and a brass instrument, which would normally use the treble clef, so that we could play this melody in the same pitch. So we need to choose a treble string instrument and a treble bass instrument. Well, the string instrument would be violin, and the brass instrument would be trumpet. Now, just generally speaking, we need to name the lowest sounding member of the standard orchestral woodwind family, and that would be bassoon. Alternatively, you could stretch that to double bassoon, but either of those will be okay. Now I need to name 2 of these instruments which can be played consort. That's with a mute. And so we need to know which instruments could play with mute. Flute can't. You can't kind of shove a sock at the end of a flute, or a clarinet. We can't, well, actually I think you can on a clarinet. They do have a little, do they? I know for sure that a viola, I don't think they do actually, no. I know for sure that a viola can. You can mute the bridge, you can mute the strings, and a trombone you definitely can. So yes, I don't think you do on a clarinet. Definitely viola and trombone. There we go, so that's that one completed. And so let's turn over the page and we'll have a look at question 4. And so we're now going to do a chromatic scale. Have a little go at this first. I think a little tip before you start though is I would definitely have a piano keyboard to visualise, just so you can exactly see where you're going, just so you don't lose track of where you are. And also remember that we need to try and keep the 1st, the 4th and the 5th in line with the major key or the minor key of your starting note. So that would be my advice to you. So I'm hoping you've had a go of this, and so we'll look at this together now. So here we have a G sharp, that's our 1st, so the 4th and the 5th. So let's ignore the sharp for the moment. So G is the 1st, so C is the 4th, D is the 5th, and then we can just sharpen all of those easily enough. Job done. So we need to make sure we have a C sharp, so you would call it C sharp as opposed to D flat. You would choose the C sharp alternative, and you would choose D sharp as opposed to E flat, just to stay in keeping. You could use flats outside of that, if you absolutely needed to. However, if you've been given a sharp, I would try and stay in sharps as much as you can. And the only other thing is be careful you don't forget to cancel the sharp. So if we're coming down, we have, I'll just see if we can see that, there we go. We have a G sharp, so now we need a G natural. So we need to cancel that. I'm just going to jump up here now so I don't run out of space. So now we have F sharp. And then we need to cancel that with F natural. E is okay as it is, that's already in its natural state. And so here we need this one next. They've given us a D, so we would sharpen it to call it D sharp. If they've given us an E, we'd have to call it E flat. But they've given us a D, so we would call that D sharp. And that's now in line with our fifth. We want a D sharp. Next one is D, so we need to cancel that. So we need a natural sign. Then we have a C sharp. Cancel that to make a C natural. B is already natural, that's okay. And then we have an A here, so we would call that an A sharp as opposed to a B flat because of what they've given us. Then we have to cancel that to give us the A natural, and that brings us finally back to G sharp. So it's much easier if you can just visualize what you're doing there. So that's job done. Let's look at the next one. We need to write 1 octave ascending, so we're going upwards, of the scale of C harmonic minor. It says do not use a key signature, but put in all necessary accidentals. Nevertheless, we need to be aware of what the key signature would be. First job is though, let's get the blobs in place. We're using semi-breves or whole notes, so we don't need to worry about stems. Begin on the tonic, and as we need to ascend, I'm going to start low. So I'll start on middle C, and then give myself plenty of space. Line space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I've ended on C, line space, yeah, so we're all right. So the key signature for C minor in any version, C minor is related to E flat major, so we would have B flats, E flats and A flats. So that would be the first case. And so if you wanted to, you could just stick those in straight away to deal with step 1. So we want B flats, E flats and A flats. However, step 2 of the harmonic minor scale is that you raise the 7th note. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The B flat is raised to a natural, so we don't need that now. If you want, you could have just skipped it straight away, but it's best not to scramble your brain and take things a step at a time. And so we can just add a natural sign to show that we know what we've done there. Put it in brackets because it isn't absolutely necessary. So that's the end of that question. I do hope that's helpful to you. I hope that you're enjoying this. We'll look at the next questions in the next video. If you can give me a like, that'd be super, that'd be really encouraging. Please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated. Please also visit sharonbill.com and make use of all of the resource that's available to help you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.